The Dark World is a 1946 novel by Henry Kuttner, and likely C.L. Moore as well, though she's never actually credited. But this seems likely to be the case. Seems highly likely, as Kuttner and Moore were a writing duo, husband-wife writing duo at the time. This story is about Edward Bond, being a World War II veteran, and he is bothered by visions of a hooded figure and a wolf. An otherworldly fire called a Needfire calls to him across the dark world by beings called Medea, Edarin, Matholk, as well as Ganelon and someone called Clear. An inspiration on Zelazny's Amber, actually, which I think is decently easy to spot when you're reading a novel. It's not quite the obvious amnesia trope, more of a veil over knowledge that's kind of going on with Bond here. Also, the reveal is not nearly as grand, but is anyone's surprise? I mean, Zelazny's reveal is one of the best things I've ever read in literature. It's a cool multiverse story with a variety of different happenings and divergent realities, and this involves shadow selves in a sense. And this latter gets into the theme of identity. Nobility also deals with this, and arrogance, etc. The characters have mirrors, essentially, in these worlds between our Earth and this other world, which means that there is something kind of evil and good and reverse in each. There is a coven in this other world, much depleted in power, and they celebrate Sabbats. Some are mutants, but one not a mutant must be sealed to someone called Clear, the creator. And the rebels really call into question this good versus evil thing. They are in the forest and wear green like, the merry men, though they're made up of men and women. It's interesting to see, as it's a first-person narrative. Seeing it go from one character to another in the same narration is kind of confusing, but anyways, it's described as a palimpsest, and that's rather accurate. This is initially a fantasy feel with magic and swords. These don't seem to be the medieval kind, though, but also guns and robot slaves just casually get dropped in as the story goes on. And I've seen it said that it's in the vein of Abraham Merritt, but I haven't read anything by him yet. I will probably hear later this year, but it is well plotted, does have the fantastic elements and moods I'd expect from Moore, and also a cosmic elder god thing you don't really want eyeing you. The world building comes off kind of odd. It feels like things are tacked on as the story progresses. The technology feels this way, and so does the mention of the Norns and Yggdrasil. I think it's fine, but it's not the meticulous world building common today, and it does seem somewhat random, but kind of also of the time. It came out in 1946. But Kuttner is known for tight plotting, and the machine and self-killing and Arthuriana adjacency near the end makes this cool, if not my favorite book I've read. The writing itself is straightforward. There's small paragraphs and little time getting lost in scenery. It's all story, pretty much. No fluff. And though at times it's rather beautifully done, on the other hand, there are plenty of exclamation points, which is interesting. And something at the end also reminded me of the start of Alien Flesh by Seabury Quinn. Overall, if you want a old school science fantasy novel, especially one if you're particularly interested in Zelazny's Amber or a fan of that, then you might want to try this one out by a somewhat forgotten science fiction master. So anyways, I enjoyed reading it, for sure. It's rather short, so it doesn't really waste any time, even if you don't like it. Anyways, Liam from Liam's Lyceum. I'll catch you next time.